Ladies and gentlemen, this is White Lightning 777, here to talk about the latest episode of cancel culture stupidity involving, Piers Morgan and, the supposed Queen of England, Meghan Markle. Now, the royal family of Britain does do some useful things for people. It does inspire respect for the country, uniqueness of the country. They could certainly intermarry with others and increase relations and also, play his role in the government for defense. But there is a reason why we, the people, parted ways with Britain. Okay? You have Meghan Markle, who goes there, and who marries Prince Harry, goes to marry the royal family there. Now, this is, first of all, look what happened to Princess Diana, American, who married it. That didn't work. Okay? And now she goes there. And then claims that they're racist. Well, in the United States, our country, as you know, we became, we got our destiny under control in 1776. We ratified the 13th Amendment eliminating slavery in 1865. This, give or take, let's just call it, it took our society 90 years to eliminate slavery. Take Britain. Now, Britain eliminated slavery in 1833. Okay? But of course, they created the system when they came over here in 1619 and set it up. But how long has Britain existed? Generally speaking, the historians and British historians considered Boudica to be the first, Queen of England. Well, she died in battle in the year 60 AD. Okay? So that means, if I'm looking at this, it took, if that is the founding date, it took Britain 1,773 years to eliminate slavery. But, that's not fair. Maybe it's not fair. Well, the Magna Carta was written. Well, that's really when you should count it. And it was controversial. Okay, now, if you look at that, the Magna Carta was written at about the year 1215. Okay, minus, what the hell, 1215 minus 1833. Okay, now that means that it took, if you go by that date, I believe that adds up to 618 years to eliminate slavery, because that was their first version of human rights. Yeah. Okay. And you consider these, and you being, she being, basically she's white. She does have a black, grandparent, whether the person was totally black or half black, like either the grandfather was black or the great-grandfather was black. But, she's a little bit mixed. But, look, the one-drop rule is dumb. It's, if you talk about a racist structural thing, it's just so stupid. If you saw somebody on the street looked like Markle, you just say she's white. Now, apparently an anonymous member of that family asked, well, what will the color of the baby be that she and Harry had? How many black people do you think these royals know? That institution, if you look at it, when England was founded, the modern royal family, the structure is 1,000 years old. They don't know, that's a legitimate question. And should Harry have married her? No. He probably should have, if he wanted to marry somebody, it should have been someone that was a subject to the British crown and go to North America, maybe a nice Canadian girl, or maybe a princess from another royal family, if he, wanted someone that wasn't white, like Saudi Arabia, and actually formed an alliance, because that's typically what royals do. Okay, so they're wrong. Well, Piers Morgan gets in trouble for complaining about this. Now, well, what did she expect going over there? It's not a free country. Did she read the Declaration of Independence before she went there? And let's see, I'm running out of room. And then she and Harry go on national television. She's not even speaking proper British English in the presence of her husband on national television, disgracing that family. If you marry into a family like that, if you go to another country, it is your responsibility to assimilate. It is your responsibility to learn the customs, laws, and folkways of that culture and faithfully adhere to them. Learn how to talk. Learn how to walk. Do what you're told. Anyway, part one end. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is part two of the video. I had to, had to run out. I had to run out of time. I had to go to work. Like I said before, Margaret Markle, whatever. It's her job to assimilate to that family. If you're going to immigrate to that country, you have to obey their customs. I mean, how is it that we can insist that people immigrate to our country, that they become Americanized, and then a high-profile American goes to live somewhere else, and they do exactly the opposite, exactly the thing that we, the people, are upset about others coming here doing? It is not, Meghan Markle's job to go and convince Prince Harry to leave the family, break the traditions, go on, get involved in political affairs of other countries that are not customarily addressed by the royal family. It's the way it is. I mean, doing some more research. The first king of England was Edward the Elder. Okay? He took power in the year 899 AD. That means that the kingdom itself, the throne itself, is 1,122 years old. It's actually a little older than 1,000 years. Yeah. You can't just go over there on their land and tell these people how to live. Of course they're going to be distant from her. Of course they're going to be somewhat put off. These people who are royals live in a palace. They literally live in a place with ivory, basically ivory towers. They're not connected to most other people. They're kind of like, a living museum. That's how society keeps them. And yes, Piers Morgan has every right to become indignant when somebody comes in and disrespects, deeply heartfelt and passionately loved traditions. We don't like it when, Palestinian terrorists burn the flag in America. Not our favorite thing. The fact is that what this person did, she's just basically a punk. And Harry, granted, he had bad judgment too. Like they say, it's not how much gold, it's not how much, gold you have. It's how well you wear the gold you have. You got to have class. And these Hollywood glitterati people, they're just courtesans and clowns. They have money, but they have no social class. Harry should not have fooled with her. No American should get involved with marrying into those people again. We left in 1776 for a reason. And let's talk about primitive societies. When our Constitution was written, we enumerated the powers. Everything was written down in English that anyone can read. Britain doesn't do that. Many parts of British law are unwritten. Their constitution is literally a living constitution that is just passed down from generation to generation by rote memorization and indoctrination. Okay? That method, that is actually a very primitive way of passing down morals and traditions orally, just by practice. Things that are just understood but never explained. And if you ask about a tradition in England, they'll tell you, well, back in the day, this situation happened and this situation happened, and therefore we've always done it this way. This is something Stone Age tribes do. You're going, my dear, okay, lady, you are taking a time machine back into the past. Woke as a joke doesn't like cultures. Well, they don't like Western cultures. They don't like traditional cultures. What do you expect? Okay, let's say woke as a joke, you don't like anything racist. You don't hate Western culture. Hate Europe, hate Christendom. Okay. We want to look at diverse, multicultural, non-Western things. Okay. Let's look at the Hindus. First of all, sure, it's non-Western. Latin, Proto-Germanic, for example, are descended from an ancestral, and Etruscan are descended from an ancient language called Sanskrit, which is in India. A lot of your European people actually trace themselves all the way back to India and the Hindus. The Hindu religion, the offspring of that was the Greco-Roman gods and the Norse gods and so on and so on. So sure it's multicultural. You don't like sexism. You think it's phallocentric, right? Well, you look at a lot of non-Western cultures, and the Hindus, for instance, literally worship some of the gods are literally phallic. They worship that. You can look at other pagan gods and goddesses. Lots of fertility goddesses. Lots of war gods. Non-Western countries, third world countries, women are barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Your job is to make babies. Okay? Even if you look at, let's say, the favorite of the feminists, like the Wicca, goddess Diana. Well, what about the story of her bathing, hunting? Someone's looking at her the wrong way. Okay, so she kills him, shoots him with an arrow. Kind of like we're worshiping a right-wing extremist. Woke is a joke is a joke. Anyway, we'll do part 3, maybe, if needed. Well, we'll do part 3 of this. Like I was saying, they woke as a joke people. Communists don't like Western culture. They don't like Christendom, most specifically. Okay. Well, how come there isn't more multicultural education in schools? These are people who can't even stand Pepe Le Pew or Tom and Jerry. Oh, what about, Art of War? Multicultural, non-Western. 36 Stratagems, multicultural, non-Western. Let's look at Japanese culture, non-Western. Look at their warrior culture, Bushido Code. Oh, we hate chivalry. We don't want anything to do with that. And Machiavelli, the prince, is evil, colonial Western. Well, guess what? The Bushido Code is almost identical to chivalry. Down to almost just almost the same detail. Okay? Europe's not the only place that built castles and empires and roads. There's when the Spanish went to Mesoamerica and encountered the Aztecs for the first time. The Aztecs actually said, oh, we know who you are. We recognize you guys. We fought a war with you guys. Now, you have to remember the Church, the Vatican, destroyed centuries of European history. Okay? There's even been some evidence, like if you look at amphorae, which were used to hold wine and other things that were built in the Roman Empire, they have found, some of, pieces of these things that are chemically identical, except for the lack of Latin writing in South America. Okay, sure it's non-Western. People probably got a lot farther than you think, and you have to remember, if you're sailing across, if you know how to sail across the ocean from continent to continent, this isn't something you're going to tell the emperor. This is going to be a family secret. This isn't something society itself is going to know. You're going to go there, trade, have an advantage, and come back. Individuals probably did discover, how to get a lot farther than people think they did. Sure, it's multicultural. I mean, you're going to South America and study, say, I don't know, the Amazon, I think they're called the Yanomamo tribe. Okay. How do they treat women? You ever hear of the, the Sentinel Islands off the coast of India? They have a group of people called the Sentinelese. Sentinelese, I think it's pronounced. These are the most xenophobic people in the world. That island is literally cordoned off. There's a no-go zone. They won't even accept any gift from a stranger. They have literally killed every single person, outsider, that they have encountered or tried to. They've never been invaded. Not exactly open-minded and tolerant of diversity, is it? They want to go in Japan. Okay. What are the Japanese attitudes towards people that were physically deformed and disabled? What are their attitudes towards women? Okay. We don't like Western culture. We blame colonialism. Oh, they've had those attitudes for centuries before they encountered the West. Let's say you want to go to Uganda. Oh, they're damaged by colonialism. What are their attitudes towards transgender and homosexual people? Oh, and by the way, they've had those attitudes for thousands of years. It has nothing to do with colonialism. I would not discuss, lesbian, gay, bisexual. If I was there, give me a hint, okay? You don't want to do that. Woke is a joke. The cancel culture is using authoritarian ideas, tribal warfare, identity politics, playing tribes and groups against groups, ascribing, defamatory statements to our entire society, blaming, for example, whites, the entire white race, entire whiteness is racist. The whole thing is racist. Well, guess what? If there's no one whiteness, Europeans have dozens of languages, warring groups. I mean, European history is basically tribal warfare, okay? And they don't get along. And nobody has been able to make Europe get along. I mean, Napoleon tried, Charlemagne tried, it didn't work out that well. It's kind of a spectacular failure. And even with the left, even assuming there is some whiteness and systematic racism, well, that basically means fascism. Fascism has a leader and commander and a command structure. So, here's the thing. If you want to prove that whiteness is systematic, tell me who is the supreme leader and overlord of the entire white race. Who is the leader? Where is the command and control structure? Because a systematic thing isn't going to just continue on its own. It has to be maintained and controlled. That's how hierarchical fascist systems work. These idiot cancel culture people, they're just barbarians. Like I said before, a socialist is not an American. They need to go away. And we need to stop, they're the ones that need to be canceled, or our country or our civilization is doomed.